latitude 38.9 degrees north, longitude 77 degrees west. These coordinates mean nothing to your daily life, but they meant everything to the algorithm that first flagged the anomaly 72 hours ago. At exactly 14:51 in the afternoon, a thermal imaging satellite passed over a grid of land no larger than 4 city blocks and registered a heat signature that should not have existed. Not a fire, not an explosion, not a solar flare, or a malfunctioning transformer. The instruments captured something subtler, something that registered on the spectral analysis as concentrated human anticipation. A field of readiness so dense, so precisely calibrated that it actually distorted the local temperature by 3/10 of a degree Celsius. The meteorologists dismissed it as a software glitch. The physicists filed it under atmospheric aberration. But I have been tracking these anomalies for the better part of a decade, and I know what they mean when they appear in this specific configuration. They mean someone, somewhere, is about to receive a delivery from the universe that is so surgically timed, so mathematically aligned with their personal chronology, that the fabric of their reality itself bends to accommodate the appointment. Virgo, that someone is you. I am not going to speak to you tonight in the language of feathers and angel numbers. I am not going to tell you that the universe whispered your name in my ear while I was steeping chamomile. I am going to speak to you in the language of coordinates, timestamps, fixed appointments, and exact measurements, because what is coming for you is not a vague blessing drifting on the wind, waiting for you to catch it like a dandelion seed. It is a locked appointment. It has a date. It has a time. It has a return address encoded in the architecture of your own choices. And if you miss it because you were looking for something mystical instead of something mechanical, if you dismiss it because it arrives in a brown envelope rather than a beam of light, you will miss the single most important delivery of your year, possibly of your decade. But before I give you the exact date, before I tell you the precise hour when your life divides into a clear and irreversible before and after, I need you to do something that anchors this information in 3 physical dimensions. I need you to open the calendar application on your phone, not later, not when you finish listening. Now, scroll to August, find the 11th day, tap on it, create an event, name it arrival, set an alert for 2:22 p.m., set a second alert for 2:21 p.m. 1 minute prior, so that you are standing at the window, metaphorically and perhaps literally, when the hand of the clock clicks into position. Do this while my voice is still in your ears. This is not a ritual. This is logistics. This is you acknowledging that you are no longer operating on hope. You are operating on intel. And if you feel your thumb hesitating, if some part of you is still clinging to the superstition that your life is too chaotic for precision, too broken for appointments, too lost for something to arrive exactly on time, then hit that like button the exact second you save that date. Subscribe to this channel because this is where raw data meets divine timing, and you are done guessing. Drop the word locked in the comments. Not because I need engagement metrics, because you are locking in a coordinate. You are claiming a slot in a schedule, that was written in the same ink as your DNA. You are telling the delivery driver that someone is home. Now, let me explain how I found your date, because your mind requires the proof before your heart will accept the package, and I respect that about you. I have been monitoring what I call temporal pressure fronts. Most people operate under the poetic illusion that time is a river, flowing past us while we stand barefoot on the bank, dipping our toes in when we feel brave. That is incorrect. Time is an ocean, and we are all vessels moving through it on courses that can be calculated, predicted, and adjusted. Every decision you have made in the last 6 months has altered your heading by fractions of a degree. The boundary you finally set in March after years of hesitation, the job you declined in May because it smelled like old poison wearing new perfume, the conversation you walked away from in June because you were done translating yourself into a language someone else refused to learn, the night in July, perhaps just last week, when you chose sleep over anxiety, when you turned off the light instead of turning over the same worry like a stone in your palm. Each of these was a course correction. Each of these was a number punched into the navigational computer of your soul. And when you add them all up, when you run the mathematics of your own integrity through the machine, you arrive at a convergence point. A coordinate in space-time where your path intersects with a delivery that has been traveling toward you since before you were born, routed through detours and delays and human error, but never lost. That convergence point is the 11th of August, 2026. For the vast majority of you listening to this message in real time, the surprise will arrive on that Tuesday. For a smaller percentage operating in a personal time zone that differs from your physical one, it may crest on August 12th. But for the purposes of certainty, for the anchor your nervous system needs, mark the 11th, circle it in red, draw a box around it. The window opens at 14:22 in your local time. 2:22 p.m. That is not a suggestion. That is not an approximation. That is the calculated moment when the pressure front peaks. When the delivery vehicle, whatever form it takes, reaches your exact coordinate and cannot proceed further without your signature, and now you are asking, with the part of your brain that still thinks this is metaphor, what is the delivery? What is this surprise that warrants such precision, such astronomical choreography? I am going to tell you exactly what it is, and I need you to hear me without flinching. This is not a romance. This is not someone confessing their feelings, or leaving their spouse, or showing up at your door with roses and a trembling lower lip. You have had enough of that narrative. The universe is not sending you a person this time. The universe is sending you proof. Tangible, undeniable. Hold it in your hands. Read it twice to believe it proof that your recent choices were correct. Proof that the boundary you set cost you something real, and that the cost was not only noticed but recorded. Proof that the work you did in absolute silence, the work that no one clapped for, the work that looked like madness or selfishness to everyone who watched you dismantle your old life, was actually the most sane and strategically sound thing you could have done. The surprise is a document, or a call, or a message, or a physical object that arrives through a channel you currently believe is closed, rusted shut, or never existed at all. It is the resolution of a loop that has been open for so long you have forgotten what it feels like to not have it tugging at your ankle. It is the answer to a question you stopped asking because you assumed the silence was permanent, that the universe had filed your request under forgotten. It is the return on an investment you made in yourself at a time when you had zero evidence that the investment would ever mature, when every indicator suggested you were pouring water into sand. Let me be excruciatingly specific, because specificity is the only language your doubt understands. For some of you, the surprise will arrive as a phone call at exactly 2:22 p.m. on August 11th. The number will be unfamiliar, or it will be familiar, but the timing will be impossible, arriving at a moment when you are in the middle of something ordinary and mundane, perhaps staring at a spreadsheet or waiting for a traffic light to change. The voice on the other end will say something that makes you sit down very slowly, as if gravity has just increased by 30%. It will be an offer, an apology, a piece of information that rewrites a chapter you had already accepted as final, already mourned, already archived in the basement of your heart. The call will last less than 4 minutes, but those 4 minutes will contain more forward momentum than the last 4 months of your life combined. You will hang up and look at the room around you and realize that nothing in it has changed, yet everything in your future has just shifted. For others, it will be a physical delivery, a package, a letter, a parcel that has been in transit longer than you realize, routed through bureaucratic purgatory, postal errors, human forgetfulness, or institutional delays that should have buried it forever. It has finally been bumped to the front of the queue by forces that do not accept delay as a permanent state. You will sign for it, or find it wedged in your mailbox, or have it handed to you by a courier who has no idea what they are delivering, who is simply the last in a long chain of carriers that stretches back through time. And when you open it, when you slide your finger under the flap or tear the tape, you will understand with a clarity that makes your hands shake why the timing had to be exact. Because the version of you that existed 1 week earlier would not have known what to do with this information. The version of you that existed 1 month earlier would have misused it, or misunderstood it, or been too afraid to act on it. But the version of you that exists on August 11th at 2:22 p.m. will know exactly. You will be ready in a way you have never been ready before. For a third group, and this is the one that is hardest to describe but the most profound, the surprise will be entirely internal, a thought, a memory that returns with perfect photographic clarity. A sudden blinding insight that arrives at 2:22 p.m. like a software update completing its installation. You will be in the middle of something mechanically ordinary, washing a plate, driving a familiar route, folding laundry that has been warm for exactly the right number of minutes, and the truth will land in your mind with such force, such architectural solidity, that you will have to pull over or put down the plate or sit on the edge of your bed with the towel still in your hands. And that truth will be the key to a door you have been pounding on for years. It will be the solution to a problem you had categorized as unsolvable. It will be the permission you did not know you still needed, spoken in a voice that sounds exactly like your own, but older, steadier, and finally free of doubt. Now, I want to walk you through the 48 hours preceding the 11th, because they are going to feel strange in a way that defies your usual vocabulary, and if you do not know what is happening, you might try to medicate the feeling, distract yourself from it, or worse, interpret it as a sign that something is wrong. You are going to experience what I call pre-arrival turbulence. It is not anxiety, it is not dread, it is the physical sensation of your own timeline being compressed, of two versions of reality occupying the same space before one collapses into the other. You will feel time differently. Monday the 10th will feel simultaneously endless and instantaneous, as if each hour contains 3 hours inside it, but the day itself vanishes the moment you try to hold it. You will have dreams that feel like memories and memories that feel like dreams, and the boundary between what happened and what is about to happen will become soft, permeable, almost liquid. You will encounter synchronicities that seem mathematically impossible. The same number will appear to you 3 times in 1 hour, not in a way that feels like a gentle nudge, but in a way that feels like a drumbeat. A song from your childhood, one you have not heard in 15 years, will play in 3 different locations within 24 hours. A stranger will say something to you in passing that answers a question you have not spoken out loud, not even to yourself. These are not coincidences. These are not signs that you are losing your grip on reality. These are calibration markers. The universe is pinging your exact location to make sure the delivery reaches the correct address, the correct floor, the correct room. Do not ignore them. Do not dismiss them as mere pattern recognition or confirmation bias. Note them. Write them down if you must. They are receipts. They are proof that the machinery is moving. You will also feel an urge, beginning around August 9th, to clean, organize, or purge. It will not feel like your usual tidiness. It will feel urgent, almost frantic, as if your body knows something your mind has not been told yet. Obey that urge. It is not random. Your environment is a tuning fork, and if your space is cluttered with the residue of who you were, the new frequency cannot resonate without distortion. You do not need to renovate your home. You do not need to Marie Kondo your entire existence. You need to clear one surface, one drawer, one shelf, one windowsill. Create a physical vacancy that matches the emotional and temporal vacancy you are about to fill. The delivery requires a landing pad. Make one. Make it intentionally, as if you are expecting a guest who has traveled a very long way and deserves a clean place to set down their luggage. And you will feel, most distinctly, on the evening of August 10th, a sudden and inexplicable sadness. This is the grief of the old timeline letting go. It is the part of you that has lived in waiting for so long that waiting has become its primary identity. That part knows, with an animal intuition that bypasses logic, that on the 11th its job is over. It is being retired, it is being made redundant, and it is mourning its own obsolescence. Let it mourn. Do not rush it. Do not tell yourself you should be happy, that you should be grateful, that you have no right to feel heavy on the eve of your own arrival. Just let the sadness move through you like weather, like a front passing over, because on the other side of it is a lightness you have not felt since you were very young. A lightness that comes not from getting what you want, but from finally being caught up with yourself. I need to address, directly and without metaphors, the part of you that is already trying to sabotage this appointment. The part that is saying, nothing ever arrives on time for me. The part that is saying, I have been disappointed so many times that I cannot afford to believe in a specific date because the specificity of the disappointment would kill me. The part that is saying, this is just another voice on the internet making promises to harvest my attention. I understand that part. I do not resent it. It has kept you safe in a world that has not always been kind to your hope. But I need you to understand something about the physics of disappointment. Disappointment is not random, it is not bad luck. It is the result of misaligned timing. You wanted things before you were ready to hold them. You asked for answers before you had built the internal architecture to hear them without collapsing. You tried to force deliveries by standing at the wrong coordinates and shouting at the ocean, demanding that it bring you what you ordered. But the ocean does not respond to shouting, it responds to navigation. And for the first time in your life, Virgo, your navigation is perfect. You are exactly where you need to be. You have finally stopped trying to receive at the wrong address. And because of that, the delivery that was always meant for you can finally complete its route. The surprise itself, whatever form it takes, is going to have one quality in common for every single person hearing this. It is going to feel inevitable, not lucky, not random, not like a windfall or a miracle or a lottery ticket, inevitable, like a math problem solving itself while you watch, like a wheel finally finding the groove it was carved for. You are not going to feel the manic, vibrating gratitude of someone who won something they did not earn. You are going to feel the deep, bone level exhale of someone who finally has proof that the universe keeps its appointments, that integrity is not a waste of time, that waiting is not the same as wasting, that the silence was never absence. It was accumulation. It was storage. It was the universe holding your asset in a vault until you had built the capacity to invest it wisely. And here is what you must do in the exact moment of arrival. When the call comes, when the package lands on your porch, when the thought downloads into your mind with such force that you have to steady yourself against a wall, you must receive it without negotiation. Do not say, "Are you sure?" Do not say, "Let me think about it and get back to you." Do not say, "This is too good to be true. There must be a catch." You have spent years thinking. You have spent years analyzing the angles, calculating the risks, preparing for the moment that is now here. The only correct response to a delivery that has traveled this far through this many detours to reach you at this exact coordinate is yes, yes, I am here. Yes, I am ready. Yes, I accept. If it is a physical object, hold it with both hands. Feel its weight. If it is a call, write down the details before your mind can distort them with its usual skepticism. If it is an insight, speak it out loud immediately, even if you are alone in your car or your kitchen. Speaking anchors thought into matter. Do not let the most important revelation of your year evaporate into the atmosphere of your own hesitation. After the surprise arrives, you will feel disoriented for approximately 24 hours, not because anything is wrong, but because your timeline has just shifted gears without warning. You will look at your life the next morning and see that certain problems have simply dissolved, not because they were solved through effort or struggle, but because they were native to the old timeline, and you are no longer on that timeline. You will notice that people who were previously resistant to you are suddenly accommodating, as if they can sense that you are no longer available for their obstruction, that opportunities you were chasing are now chasing you, appearing in your inbox and your conversations with an ease that feels almost suspicious, that your own reflection looks different, because the person looking back at you is no longer waiting. They have arrived, and the energy of arrival is contagious. It infects every room you enter. It rearranges the furniture of your reality without you touching a single piece. I want to give you the exact protocol for the night of August 10th because preparation determines reception, and you are someone who functions better with a checklist than with a prayer. At 22:10 p.m., turn off every screen in your home, not just your phone, everything that emits blue light, the television, the tablet, the laptop. You are entering a pre-delivery fast from artificial frequency, and your optic nerves need to remember what darkness feels like. At 22:30, sit at a table with a pen and paper. Write down 3 things you are releasing. Not goals, not wishes, releases. Obligations, fears, identities, or attachments that you are done carrying. Fold the paper once. Burn it if you can do so safely, or tear it into small pieces and flush them down the toilet. Watch them disappear. At 23, lie down in complete darkness. Do not meditate. Do not visualize. Do not try to manifest or attract or summon. Just be in the dark like a seed in soil. Let the earth hold you without your assistance. Let the countdown run without your interference. If you wake up before 2:22 p.m. the next day, do not check your phone immediately. Do not let the digital world rush in before your body has finished processing the download. Wait until you are fully in your body, until your feet feel like they belong to you again. Then, and only then, begin your day. For those of you listening to this after August 11th has already passed, do not let your mind tell you that the window is closed. Time is relative, and messages find people at different coordinates in their personal chronology. If you are hearing this late, calculate 11 days from the exact moment you first felt the specific internal click of recognition while listening to my voice. That is your personal August 11th. The universe does not punish tardiness, it simply recalibrates the route. But for those of you who are here in the narrow window, who are hearing this while the delivery is still in transit, you have an advantage that cannot be bought. You can prepare the landing pad. You can clear the deck. You can be awake and watching when the clock strikes 14:22, and you can receive what is yours with open hands instead of stunned confusion. I want to leave you with one final image, and then I am going to release you to your calendar and your preparations. Imagine a vault, not a bank vault, with metal walls and a spinning dial. A vault in the architecture of existence itself, built from the same material as gravity and regret. Inside that vault is everything that was ever taken from you unfairly, every opportunity that was stolen by someone else's fear, every piece of trust that was broken and never repaired, every moment of joy that was interrupted by a phone call or a crisis or a cruel word, every yes that was turned into a no by forces you could not control. That vault does not open with a key. It does not open with force. It opens with alignment. It opens when your inner coordinates match the outer coordinates of your highest integrity, when the person you have become is finally the same person you always knew you were. And on August 11th at 14:22, the tumblers are going to click into place with a sound you will feel in your sternum. The door is going to swing open, and what walks out is not revenge. It is not compensation. It is not a prize for good behavior. It is restoration. It is the exact thing you need, in the exact form you can use, at the exact moment you are ready to receive it. No more. No less. Precise, surgical, perfect. You have your date, you have your time, you have your instructions. The rest is silence. The rest is waiting without anxiety. The rest is trusting that the machinery of grace is more reliable than the machinery of your doubt, more precise than your fear, and more punctual than you have ever allowed yourself to believe. Set the alarm. Clear the surface. Stand at the window at 2:21 p.m. on August 11th and watch the horizon. It is already moving toward you. It has been traveling since the beginning, since before your first breath, since before you learned to doubt, and you, Virgo, have finally arrived at the right address. I will not tell you to stay blessed. I will not tell you to keep your heart open, or to trust the process, or to surrender to the flow. Those things are already handled by the part of you that brought you this far. I will simply say this: check your watch. The appointment is kept, the delivery is en route, and you are exactly on time.